So I think the reality is, if you look at prior to South Africa launching its renewable energy program in 2010, there was something like there were under 30 IPPs in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. So there was obviously a lot of power, but it was being done by state utilities as opposed to using an IPP model. With the flux of time over the last 7-8 years in South Africa, we've had something like 112 IPPs on renewable energy specifically. And as a result of that well-structured program, and with tariffs actually having fallen across the 4 rounds that we've had in South Africa, there's been an immense number of learnings, not just in South Africa, but by utilities across the region. And, so I think what you have found is that certainly many other African governments have looked at the way South Africa has actually structured their program, has looked at, the support that government has actually provided, has looked at, how to actually try and copy and paste these things. In that period of time, looking at South Africa as the big brother in the region, I think many other utilities have looked to that and have realized that using the IPP model, they can bring security of supply to the power sector at an affordable price, relying on the private sector to do so rather than state utilities running the program themselves. So the appetite has always been huge. I think that nothing has changed. What we have in Africa is more than 627 million people out of 1.2 million people, 1.2 billion people that do not have access to power. So the thing is, the appetite is certainly there. There is no shortage of money, right? Whether it is debt from the private sector banks, from developmental financial institutions, from export credit agencies, and there's no shortage of equity, right? So there's a lot of funds, equity investors, strategic investors, funds, etc., all looking at good projects in Africa to actually deploy capital. So the appetite is certainly there. What we do lack, however, is the ability to roll these projects out quickly enough. But the appetite remains firm. Africa has got a very low penetration rate with regards to access to power. We have, the World Bank puts in a number of about 104, 105 billion infrastructure gap between now and 2025. And 47 billion of that is actually attributable to power across generation, transmission and distribution. So it's the opportunity is huge. On a risk-return basis, Africa poses huge opportunities with decent returns for investors looking at deploying capital in Africa, and I think that will continue. It's been phenomenal. I think it's a great networking opportunity, a good panel of speakers and interesting topics, and I think looking forward to the balance of today and tomorrow.